As Susanna pulled her inflatable boat across the pebbles and smooth sand of Mount Desert Island and hid it under the low branches of a pine tree near the water's edge, the blustery dampness of the night kept the fragrance of pine low in the air, invading her nose without complaint. Akthala, in Armenia, had its fair share of pine trees under which she had played as a young child, wondering why her mother had left her, until eventually she was told her beautiful mother had died. But what did that mean? She wanted to ask. Not daring to, in case to die was something bad that came to you in the night and swept you away. She remembered being picked up in some person's arms, and gazing at a figure, dressed in a white veil, lying down inside a wooden box that people were gathered around, crying over, but not she. After climbing the steep hill towards the crest, she was able to look down to Jordan Pond, and recalled how she had never cried in all the 37 years of her life. Then, she started to remember the names of the ones she had given cause to cry, or scream, as her methods of inflicting pain had become more terrifying as she had grown into the game she played. It was the same on any mission. Remember those that have gone, so they might not be so unforgiving when you all meet up in hell. 10 feet from the crest, she knelt and checked her equipment. Today, she had both poisons, scopolamine and methanol. She had brought a lighter as well to see how much pain lighting the methanol and dripping it into an eye socket could cause. At the top of the hill, she fell. Nobody could suspect tripwires that far from the house. During the daylight hours, when she and Irons had trekked part of the island, they hadn't ventured this high in case of being noticed, but the forest was a national park with trekking paths, so surely people wandered away from the path, she thought, as she awkwardly bumped into a tree. She hadn't fallen far, feet more than yards, but the wire had done damage. A cosmic proportion of lights lit the night sky and swept the banking hillside where she stood against the trunk of the tree that had halted her fall. 2 figures appeared on one of the many balconies of the house below, and she could vaguely hear them shouting and pointing in her direction. Smack, like an angry hand slapping flesh, the trunk of the tree above her head absorbed a shot. It was quickly followed by a series of smacks as bullets from an automatic weapon found nearby trees. The ground near her feet sounded as though waves were crashing into a rocky shore as bullets hit them. Nothing like this had ever happened to her. She was a close-in killer, not a commando in a raiding party. In a window above the balcony where the accusing fingers were pointing at her stood a shortish, bald-headed man with a grey beard dressed in a white shirt wearing black-rimmed glasses. White was the target's favourite colour, and the rest of him fitted his description. She took aim with the Glock pistol she carried, gently squeezed the trigger twice, and a headshot killed the Israeli. A smack didn't hit a tree. It went through her boot and into her leg just above the ankle bone. Hobbling and reaching out to trees for balance, she made it to her boat without the next bullet. With immense strength, she dragged the dinghy into the water, fired the motor, and steered for the lights on Swan's Island. The boat took a line of shells, luckily all above the waterline, but unluckily 3 hit Susanna. The first 2 in her arm, upper and lower, but the third broke a rib on entering and passed through a lung on exiting. The next one to hit was of a heavier caliber. It lodged in her liver, causing massive internal and external loss of blood. Nearing her base camp, she managed to zigzag the boat away from the searching lights of the pursuers. With every pain-driving lurch over the choppy waters of the bay, her hopes of survival increased. That wasn't the case for long. Breathing hard as she climbed out over the one remaining inflated tube, 2 stray rounds from a light automatic weapon hit her body. One in the femoral artery, and the other in the widowmaker artery on the left side of her heart.